Welcome back to our Small Moments, Big Impact podcast. We're on episode 5 this week, Kiwi.
Let's
Can you
go.
believe
Episode 5.
episode 5? I love it. And for this episode, we've got the amazing Cass Champion joining us. And she is a wonderful human that wears many hats. But the one we're particularly going to focus on today is My First Job, which she owns and operates and does a phenomenal job in the community for.
I'm super keen to talk to Cass because not my first job, but like pre-flex and then pre-politics, I guess you'd say. I worked for a national charity in high schools around career education and connecting businesses and so on. Not necessarily in Cass's space of preparing for first jobs, but very, very similar around that sort of space. And that was maybe, I don't know, 11, 12, 13, 14 years ago now. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's changed and what she sees in the world.
Amazing. And doing that at that time, what have you taken away as most valuable key lessons that you now apply with what you do at Flex?
Oh, I think just the ability, like to go shake hands, knock on doors, like ask the question of, would you like to be involved? Are you happy to support? Like, how can you support? People are happy to help out if there are. So a lot of people are just waiting for an invitation to help out, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. And they just want to know the scope, like, where am I helpful to you?
And then, so I know, the world sort of planets aligning, I guess, a little bit. So the Beacon Foundation was who I used to work for. And I had a Beacon Foundation moment a few days ago. So I was in, I know, crazy, hey? I was in Toowoomba on Thursday night for a client doing some marketing work. And then the first guest arrived way early ahead of time, and I was out the front of the function room, and she walks to the first of the doors, and I said hi, and she looks at me, she goes, "Brent from Beacon," and I was like, "Oh, hey," and she's like, "Marla from Mainframe Beacon." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, yes!" Like, we wouldn't have spoken in like 12 or 13 years. And I guess this is sort of like my small moment for the week, but the work we were doing and obviously left an impression on her at the time. And it was funny how, like, I haven't spoken in 12, 13 years, but to have someone come in, recognize me, and then have that like industry contact keep going in that way, which I didn't expect at all, was, and then to have Cass on this week talking about that sort of space. It's funny how the planets align like that.
It's incredible, because for me, I wish I had somebody like Cass when I was looking to get my first job. It would have really helped me navigate, because I feel like for me, sometimes having lots of options is not always the best. It's not the way that my brain feels confident in making decisions. But if it kind of gets narrowed down to, let's say, 4 options, then I'm able to much better filter to what I think would be suitable. So I think what she does is so important. And she's so passionate about the younger generations and giving them a platform where greatness is seen, opposed to just, like, especially the social media bashing of the younger generations and things like that. Yes, we are different for sure, but also there's a place for everybody in the way that they are growing and evolving in communities.
Before we get to Cass, have you got any small moments or success stories or anything that you want to share this week?
This week I've been a hermit.
Hermit!
I've been a hermit this week. So I've pretty much kept very close to home this week and focused on my time with the kids pretty much. But what about you?
I think it was just the small moment from the Toowoomba, like random like meet great. But even like what you said just then, like, we'll sit around at home as a family. You talk about each other's days. Like, what happened today? What exciting happened? And sometimes everyone goes, "Nah, just a normal day." And I jump in and, like, I don't want to set the expectation that every day needs to be amazing or that every day needs to have something incredible happen. And so we'll have that conversation around the dinner table, and Kyle and I might go, "Yeah, we just had fairly normal days," and just to emphasize to the kids that that's fine. That's a fairly normal thing as well. Some days you're just ticking boxes, getting stuff done. Not every day needs to be amazing and meaningful in some incredible way. You can just go about your business, tick a box, and move on to the next one.
We do it a little bit different at my house, because usually dinner time I'm running around cooking 3 different meals. So I don't really, even though I'm present, we're in an open plan house. So even though I'm present with the kids, I don't get that proper time with them. So we do it for breakfast, because breakfast is usually much less, labor intensive. So I'm able to sit with the kids and then we will set intentions for the day. Like,
Yeah.
what is your intention for today? Why? And what do you think? How will that be for you? So we do that even to the baby. She's 4 and she's so incredibly insightful because I've been doing that with them. That's kind of our time. So a lot of families do dinner. Breakfast is our time, and then we set intention for the day. And then when I pick everybody up, because I have 3 different stops. So by the time I collect all the kids and we're in the car, we have about a 25-minute drive home. That's when I'll say to them, hey, your intention was this. How did you go today?
Very
And
cool.
then what was funny? What was not funny? What made you feel angry? So I try to kind of do it that way because I find for my family with the neurodiversity spectrums everyone sits on, I get a lot more engagement in responses that way.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, then. Well, shall we bring in Cass, our guest for this episode?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's bring her in. Welcome, Cass. Let's welcome Cass. Okay, so we've got a very special guest here for episode 5. It is Cass Champion from My First Job, which is a platform and organization dedicated to assisting teens to prepare for and find their first job. My First Job was created by Cass after living with Gen Zers and seeing how they perceive things in the world and the misconceived perceptions of them. She says that not a week went past when she didn't receive a call, email, or text from a friend or their friend or work colleague that was wanting to help their teenager to get into the workforce. Cass says while there are many platforms advertising various jobs and others in the marketplace, there was a gap in preparing and connecting teens to their very first job. So My First Job focuses on finding the right job fit for teens to match them with a location, availability, interests, and so on that are suitable for work to fit in with their current life and what's on their plate. It has a range of online tools and resources available. Please welcome Cass Champion.
Woo!
Ah!
Woo-hoo! Thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited. Love just spreading the word and talking about why and how and what we do. It's great.
Can we start off, Cass? How do you and Lily know each other? Because we've only met just the once, but I know you guys go back a little bit further. How do you guys know each other?
Well, Lily and I actually met at a function, and from there on, we were like kindred spirits. To be honest, it's hard to find someone as genuine and passionate about what I do and what I believe in. And then I met Lily and what she does and her passion for anyone. Actually, it doesn't matter who they are, where they come from, what they believe in, what they don't believe in. Lily will always have an ear and want to help them.
Yeah, we bonded on that really quickly, didn't we? And also with my, I think, background in recruitment as well, I understand what a big task it is that you choose to do every day to show up for people that need that extra support and that extra help. So I had so much love and respect for you right away. And, we just enjoy each other's company. We laugh a lot. And it's a very, very special bond I feel that we have.
Yeah. We take on too much and we we want to help everyone in the world, but it's baby steps at a time.
Cass, I've taken the grab off the intro of the website, but how do you explain to people, if you're at a barbecue or whatever, and they say, or you're at an event, they say, what do you do? How do you explain what you do?
Yeah, we help prepare and match the next generation to a job that they want to do. I feel like every kid is pigeonholed to you've got to do this job because you know someone there or mum or dad did it or whatever. So it's about really helping that generation make a decision for themselves. They're educated themselves by having the information in a trusted source, in a trusted place, and then having employers that actually want to give kids their first go, like give them a first job as well, which is probably one of the most fundamental points.
I love that so much. One of the reasons I love that so much, because something I didn't realize when I came out of school, I was raised by a single mum that worked 2 jobs. So she didn't have time to be in the community with anybody. So it was a really hard process of me to even get a job and to have, because everybody would be like, whose child are you? Who do you belong to? And nobody really knew my mum. So that's just how we did it back in Perth in those days. But one thing, Cass, that I think a lot of people won't understand is when you finish school, not only are you out of routine, you're also out of social contact and social environment, because you go to school, your friends are there, you don't organize anything, you don't think about anything. And then all of a sudden you're at home, you're trying to find a job, you're trying to figure out what's next. And then also you don't have the social component. You're really having to create that on top of everything else. And, like when I left school, I did a job that didn't even exist when I left year 12. And within 4 years it existed. So I think if I had someone like you, I probably would have found my feet so much quicker.
I think too on that, it's really overwhelming. So,
Mm.
you've got kids for whatever reason these days are delaying getting their first job. And it's for a myriad of reasons, but it's not helping them. So if it's a level of social anxiety, not knowing where to start, it's really kind of detrimental. So if you're finishing school and you haven't worked yet, not being in a work environment, not understanding it, it really is difficult for an employer then to go, well, why haven't you worked yet? Like,
Yeah.
I'd prefer to take a 15-year-old on that's keen and wants to work, and I can train them and rather than an 18 or 19-year-old that has decided not to work. So it's really important for us. We're starting at 13-year-olds and we're trying to educate them on that importance of, finding your people. So if you find a job you love as a ref in sport, all of a sudden you might not have your people at school, and you've got these group of like-minded people that you go to work, you're earning money, and you find that balance, because sometimes school can be difficult, life can be challenging. So
Yeah.
I feel like that work and that job and those people can actually really help you to become who you end up being.
Are there
Yeah.
any common themes from the students that you work with? What are the big themes that come out from what you see?
Lack of confidence
Mm.
is a first thing,
In
definitely.
themselves, like talking to people? Like
Yeah,
go a bit deeper.
yeah. Just that interpersonal skill that, when I was growing up, you'd have to stand up and go to the door, "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Scott, how are you?" And you would have to stretch yourself. You didn't want to do it. You felt uncomfortable, but you had no choice. Now there's not a lot of that old
Mm.
school style around. And it's actually not the kids' fault. It's not this generation. It's not the Gen Zs, and it's not Alpha's fault. It's the world that they've been brought up in. Technology is here and it's here to stay.
Yeah.
So
Guys,
how
I'm
can we
I'm
have a
so
balance?
glad you mentioned that, because that's something that I talk a fair bit about. And I see like with my kids that for it comes so easy now, and God, we just sound like the older generation. Every generation's had this chat before us, but like to pinpoint going to the door, take a step back, like. Like when we were growing up, if I wanted to talk to somebody at home, I got to call up the home phone, got to talk to probably either mum or dad, like even just
Yeah.
that little gateway. And
Yeah.
it doesn't, and then I'm on a big massive rant now, even ordering food. When you go to Macca's or whatever, and it's all just on a screen now, your number gets called, there's no, that interpersonal,
Mhm.
interface is being taken away. And I guess that'd hurt students and kids massively, wouldn't it?
But we were always, I feel like anytime I'm on panels or I go to schools or I'm talking to parents, I'm like, get the kids to be uncomfortable, a
Yeah.
tiny bit uncomfortable in anything. It doesn't matter what it is, just a tiny bit of uncomfortable should be the new comfortable, right? So
Mhm.
if in my day, when we'd go to parties, we would have to just go. You
Mhm.
didn't have a, hey, should I wear this? Are you wearing that? And then you'd rock up to the party. You didn't know if they were going to be there. You might have to talk to people that rock up, and it was all that level of communication and uncomfortable is not there.
Yeah.
They know what each other's wearing. They've got location spotting. They've got everything. But again, it's not, I'm a huge advocate for them. And I feel like that I just want the parents, the businesses and the kids to all see how important that ecosystem is, I guess,
Mhm.
because I think, it's the business's fault because they don't give a kid a chance, or it's the kid's fault because they don't stretch themselves and they're not hardcore like we used to be. And maybe parents are just trying to balance everything. It's really hard parenting because you're juggling 5 million balls and you've got to try and make sure that everything's aligned and perfect, and it's not that simple.
It's not. And I just want to circle back, Cass. You were just saying briefly something about being on a board. I know that you sit on the busy board, the busy school board. Can
Yep.
you take us through that a little bit? Because I feel like not enough knowledge for in our space, especially in the disability space or neurodiverse space. We know it's a school. We know it's a school that teaches things a little bit different, but I would love to kind of hear it from you, especially because we now also support youth and young adults. And then a lot of the time they will say to us, where can we go? What services are available? And I'd love to share a little bit more with them about the busy school.
Yeah, I love being on the board. It fills my cup massively. When you go to graduations and you meet parents and the students who had just didn't fit into mainstream schools, and couldn't find their people. It wasn't the right environment for them. And then they come to the busy school and they attend, and it is life changing. Some of them hadn't attended school for a long time to graduating and going to university or going and doing their trade. So for us, it's a different model of how they go to school, and then they have a vocational part that goes with that. So they complete a certificate and work as they go. So as they come out, they then have a range of things that they've tried or tested, as well as their QCE that goes with it. And it's just a really inclusive environment. I mean, the school was just opened in Townsville, which I went with the education minister, which was amazing. And the student just said that it just feels so welcoming. I never felt like I was a part of something or I was an outsider. And then I came here and there's no strange questions. There's no strange behavior. It's just we all support each other and it's a really inclusive environment. And for this day and age, it's really hard for some kids to fit in. What is the norm? Which, I'm not normal, far from it. So, what is that norm? What does that look like? And we're only going to keep growing. We've got 10 schools in Queensland and expanding because there's a huge, huge need across the country.
That's
Where are the
incredible.
schools? You don't need to name them if you don't want to, but where are they up in the state? Like in Southeast Queensland, obviously one like in Townsville?
Yeah,
Is that
so
right?
Townsville, yep. We've got them all the way from Townsville down to, I think the lowest is at Coolangatta. So they're scattered
all the way.
Yeah. So, it's they're roughly 200 to 250 students at each campus, year 11s and 12s. And then ideally in the future, it'd be great to start that year 10 cohort and see. But at the moment, there's an online campus as well. So some of the students that can't get to school, that's been really successful too.
Phenomenal. I love it. As somebody that struggled through mainstream education, I would have loved something like that. And I just struggle with having to fit into this. I felt education, and I still feel like this a little bit in some ways, it's all about memorizing and regurgitating. That is the challenge I have with it because I don't feel that I've learnt anything or it's brought value for me in any kind of way. But so I think it's amazing to have different ways of teaching the curriculum and also encouraging students to have a different outlook and to kind of push that boundary a little bit to redefine what that curriculum looks like. I'm all for it. I think it's amazing.
And I think every person is different. And I think that they should be able to have an adaptable way of learning. I have a lot of time for the education department, also the schools and the people that support the students. In saying that, with my first job and what we've been doing, we've really identified as we've started to go through this trusted portal and having businesses that are backing the students and getting their first jobs. But the next part was they're really probably ill prepared in work and life. So for us, we're launching our pilot into schools, specialist schools, mainstream schools, and looking at those 5 pillars that we kind of believe are the ecosystem to help the kids, which is work, life, finance, wellness, and skills. So with those, they get their badges, and they're industry led. So instead of a trainer going, "Hi, this is what you need and this is how it is," industry are saying these are the deficiencies that we need the next gen to know. And it could be from onboarding, knowing what super is, what tax is, to
Yeah.
how to send an email, to how do I prepare for an interview. So budgeting to then wellness. They get mental health shoved down their throat all the time. What is mental health, right? It should be wellness, talking to someone, sleeping, eating, exercising, like all of those things are wellness. So we're putting those into schools, and the aim is to have it like a subject within the schools, and start to support the next gen from year 7 right through, so they'll walk out with their My First Job portfolio at the end of whenever they leave school, to help them bridge that gap in work and life, which we're really, really excited about.
That must be exciting and welcoming from a school's point of view, who are looking for a bit of extra support. Like the teachers are under so much pressure,
Yeah.
and then to have this extra level of support, like, is it well received in schools?
Yeah, look, we are piloting with 20 schools. It's been tricky to choose, but for us, it's really important that the teachers do not support the kids when they're doing them. So the first step is to not baby the kids and do it. All the information that we've got, and once it's endorsed, it's all been Genevized. So we have a GenZer committee. So the GenZer committee go through and they check the language, the words, if they understand it, and it's all interactive activities. And then people that are living with disabilities as well, there's points in there. So their support workers can go in and help and support and be there. But anyone that really wants to take a step and try and do something on their own, which is being uncomfortable and trying to do it, that's the aim. So the teachers don't have the burden of doing it. Plus also teachers aren't industry experts. They can't know every industry and understand what industry wants. So they are amazing at what they do, and we complement the curriculum in what is needed.
Love that. That's amazing. That's going to be so successful.
Yeah, we're really excited because I think when we first started, we really just wanted to have a trusted source where the kids and parents knew that they could get on, put in their profile, and then get a tailored resume and then get matched to a job based on their age, location, availability, and interest. So that's tick. Businesses are loving it. The students are loving it, and all businesses are verified. So you can't just get on like other platforms and just put an ad on. Every single business is verified and checked that you're a legit business. You can cope with the onboarding and the training required. Like it's really about a good experience for the individual that's applying. So we did that, and that was that trusted source. And then we realized that from there, we've got some great applicants, but we still keep getting the same feedback that, you know, they don't actually know how to check their app for their availability. They don't know how to potentially communicate well with their peers or their bosses, so it was just all these little things that kept coming up, and industry kept telling us. So we're like, okay, we've done this. Now we need to really expand on those employability and life skills to help them to get them and make that transition an enjoyable one. And I wish I had it when I was younger. Like you kind
Yeah,
of
I had that too. And I think that's where the two of us bonded so much when we first met over the lunch, because I feel like we're very similar in the things we look to for us, it's our kids, and you look to your industry that you support for feedback. And that's what we take on. We don't just kind of go to what outsourced recommendations are. We kind of look for the people that we support that say to us, hey, look, I need this, I need that. And then we go and make those changes. And I think that's really rare. And that's something I think we bonded over really quickly too.
Yeah,
Is having
100%.
that love.
Cass, what have you got? Like a certain success story that you could share with us?
Ooh,
She's got lots.
wow. Yeah. Wow. I have literally, I have so many. I think one of the ones that stood out to me is I met a mum at an expo that we were at in Melbourne, and she had a 19-year-old son who wouldn't leave his room. She was at her wit's end. She quite um, divulged a lot, but anyway, it was affecting her family, her marriage, everything. Anyway, I just said, look, you can't push your son into getting work or doing anything. There's barriers that are stopping him from working, never worked before. But how about you try and show him our socials and then just show him how cool it was. Like you met us and just have a look at this. And then he might organically then go to the platform rather than you going, go to that platform and do it. He probably won't. Anyway, she rang me a week later and she was just crying. And she said her son had not only gone on our socials, gone on our platform, applied for a job, but he'd already locked in an interview. And she goes,
Wow.
get the job or not, it doesn't matter. Like he has left the house, he has done it, and he feels so proud. Long story short, he got the job, and she's just like, I can't tell you. So that's one. I know another one of hadn't found his people at school, and then ended up um, severely depressed. Not sure if he'd still be here now, and he ended up getting a job and finding his people away from school.
Mhm.
And I think one of the big fundamental things is that not school can't always be easy, and you'll find challenges along the way depending on what's going on in your life. But for me, um, having I had sport and work, so I had school sport and work groups. So when one was a bit pear shaped or I'd had enough, I could rotate. And I feel like a lot of kids potentially don't have that. So having the school environment and then also being able to have that outlet, which he found, and that was probably his saving grace. So those kind of stories, I've got so many more. I could go on for hours, to be honest, and that's why I keep doing this because I love it. It generally is the best professional job I've ever had in my life because I can literally change lives for parents as a parent living and breathing how hard it is as a parent. But also, I'm the biggest advocate for this next generation. I can't tell you they are talented, they're refreshing, they're amazing, and people just cannot see it. So I am trying to shout it from the rooftops how amazing they are and what talent they have for the future.
Oh, isn't that amazing? So, Cass, with all the hats you wear, with all the things you have on the go, and you're very, very busy all the time, and you're so loved in the community. So, I even notice when we go together to places, people are constantly coming and taking you just for a minute. Can I talk to you just for a minute? How do you balance it all with a family? You also have an amazing family and you have kids. How do you do it all? How do you make sure you look after yourself in order to be able to deliver for everybody else?
Yeah, I'm not that good at balancing. That's the honest truth. My family are number one. So
Mhm.
in the morning, I'll catch up. My daughter, she's still going to school, so I try and do lunches and chats and talks. When I'm here, I just try and be present, and I block out the times that I know. And so if it's having dinner and we're all here and they're not working and everything aligns, then we're all here and we're present.
Mhm.
But honestly, that balancing trick, it's a really hard one, and I probably do too much,
Mhm.
take on too much. It's probably my biggest weakness, but in saying that, I get so much joy out of it. So, but I think family number one, and it always has to be.
Mhm.
Um, that's where I get my recharge from, to be honest. I
Mm.
just grab them, hug them, laugh at them. You can just be me. I am always me. I have no filter, unfortunately, but around my family, I can even be more. absurd or more weird, if that's possible. And I love the laughs and the cries and the real, conversations that we have. Because why am I doing it otherwise, to be honest?
Your setup and Fountless sounds very similar to a lot of people listening. It's very busy. It's go, 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 go. Do you have any practical tips for parents, families, students who are looking to get their first job? And you mentioned like the interpersonal skills. It could be on a day-to-day. It could be a weekly thing. Have you got any practical tips that you could share where students or young people could help prepare themselves for a job?
Yeah, definitely. I think start with what you love. Think about the things you love doing, and people like always look at say hospitality, which is a phenomenal way to start because it stretches you. But I feel like doing the things that you love really help you in your personal growth, in life and enjoyment. And while you're young, you might as well do things that you enjoy rather than worrying about how you're going to pay rent and food and live. So I think that for me, I would definitely do something you enjoy and that you love, but also don't be scared to tell an employer or share that your availability is 2 shifts a week or 1 shift a week. There's a lot of employers out there that would really happy to support someone that wants to work 1 day a week. A lot of businesses can't supply 5 shifts a week. So, finding that balance where you can do, for me, I did school and sport and work, and they were really important. And then obviously you have family and friends, the social side. So having that balance and working what that looks like. And that's a life skill, right? Time management, organization, like interpersonal
Also
skills.
understanding and like prioritizing yourself to kind of say, I do have sport, I go to school, this is all I can do, is then being brave enough and building that skill to clearly communicate with intent and be upfront. So then the employer can go, no problem. Because even for me, somebody 2 days a week is much more manageable for me than 5 days a week. Because that means then 5 days a week I would have to be there. So I think it really builds that understanding of how important it is to communicate clearly, but then also that, you got to be comfortable enough to tell your truth and how it is for you so then people can support you appropriately. But Cass, I just want to ask you, while we're on the subject of jobs, first jobs, what was your first job?
Actually, my first job, I was thinking about this. My very, very first job, my parents used to have a travel agency. So when I used to go in on holidays or after school or bits and pieces, they used to have, this is really showing how young I am, but they used to have a switchboard. But the switchboard had cords that you pulled and you put in a hole. And so then you'd go, hello, you've got Freddie on the line. I'll pop him through, and then you'd have to answer and then put it in the hole. Hi, Tracy. All right, I'll take it out now. And then they could answer it. So I did switchboard and mail and some banking and in the travel sector. So I loved it. I loved it. But now when people go, what are you talking about? A cord in a switchboard. I'm like, I think I might change that narrative a little bit.
I love that because it goes to show how far technology's come. And
Lily, what was yours? Lily, your first job?
My first job was fish and chips. I worked, and it was the moment I turned 13 and 9 months, or 12 and 9 months, sorry. And it was $5 that I used to get an hour, and I loved it. Oh, I would cook that fish and chips like it was the best thing on earth. I was just so happy to have the job because for a long time, well, I tried like all the age of 12, 13, I tried to get a job, and people, again, in Perth, it's very connected. So they were like, whose child are you? We don't know that person. So then my cousin ended up getting me the job, and it was amazing. It taught me so much value in it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're doing it with love, people love it. And then in the end, I had people coming to be served by me because I was apparently just so enthusiastic about their fish and chips.
What about you?
What was your?
I was sort of two, and Cass mentioned before, like the world of sport. And so my first like paid job, I guess, was umpiring junior AFL. So I would have been like 13, 14, umpiring like the under 10s or something like that. I could still remember my very first game. I can still remember it really, really clearly. but lucky enough to get some runs on the board in terms of here's a roster, here's where you're going, here's the game, sort of understanding that. So umpiring like junior AFL as like a 14, 15-year-old early on. But then the first like proper first job was working at Pizza Hut out the back, cooking pizzas, washing dishes, all
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So, and yeah, lots of lessons that learned early on, but like to emphasize what Cass was saying, just those like small dips in the water of like,
Yeah.
here's a roster, here's a schedule, this is how much you're getting paid, this is what your boss wants, like
Mhm.
time frames and deadlines and all that. Yeah, just a massive head start, I guess, from umpiring into a job, and then you're away from there.
I think parents understanding the importance of what you've both said and what you've learned from that first job.
Mhm.
I cannot shout to the rooftops enough to parents, like, get your kids into work as soon as you can. And I know there's extreme academic kids around or super sporty and talented, but they also need that well-roundedness of understanding work. Like sport, things happen and that might not be your future. Or academics, you might not get the score you want, or you become a doctor and you don't like it. Like
Mhm.
everyone needs those base skills, and you're going to make mistakes. So
Mhm.
you want to stuff up early and you want to learn from those, because that then helps you with your life skills, your relationships, like
Mhm.
future work. So I think it's I just cannot stress enough. And I think a lot of people think it's just all too hard or too much of a commitment, or you
Mhm.
can't do it. But there's so many different ways and different jobs to make it work around your schedule of life.
Do you know one thing that I have found is interesting? I was talking to my sister about this yesterday. We have a family that is very sports heavy, and some of them have been very fortunate enough to have worked really hard and made it quite far in their chosen sports. But something that my sister and I were talking about that seems to be a bit of a trend. So we have one group that was just sport, 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 no work. So that's all they did. So school, sport. And they didn't even have chores at home because everything was like preserve your energy, all that kind of stuff. Then we have the other half that had to work at least one day a week, and they did their sport, and then they also had chores. And do you know what's interesting? The ones that had work and the chores went on much further because they understood, hey, if I decide to sleep in today, I take that opportunity away of doing this as a job, as an adult. So they respected their sport so much more because they were working and they saw what the alternative was, that if they don't put in that effort, this is what I'm choosing instead. Whereas with my other cousins that just had that, they had no idea. So then when things didn't work out, they just fell apart. They could not cope with the fact of what else do I do now? This is all I do. This is my identity. And that's something we talked about yesterday, which I thought was really interesting.
Mm. I think we didn't have doom scrolling too, to be honest. So
Yeah.
it's really easy to sit on the internet or sit on an app or look at socials for hours and hours and hours. So it fills that time in where, yeah, you could have been at work, or you could have been actually in person socializing, or you could have
Mhm.
been, but the alternatives. And that's where any kind of talk I do or any training that we do, I go, the biggest thing would be feeling a bit uncomfortable, putting your phone down and then using your frontal lobe to go, what can I do now? Like a lot of kids go, I'm bored. What do I do? And I go, well, use your brain. Like I used to play with my Barbies or create things or go for a walk, ride my bike. Like there was so much to do
Mhm.
because we were always creating that. And I feel like that potentially there's that lack of creativity or lack of drive because you're kind of stuck in it.
Mhm.
And there's some days that I've done it, like absolutely. I'm not saying I'm Miss Perfect, but it is a real thing. Like if you can step away, I would love to not have my laptop and phone with me all the time like I have to, but that's my life.
Mhm.
And while they've got a choice to not have that, then I would take it like tenfold.
Cass, you've been such an awesome guest. I feel like we've just like scratched the surface, literally, just only like a little bit. We could be here for hours talking about that. And I've been thinking of like stories popping into my head of like different examples along the way. But we'll have to get you back on another episode, another time at a later date.
Mhm.
Give us like a bit of a wrap up though. If you're an employer, if you're a parent, or if you're a student, how can people get in touch, get involved? How can you help?
Yeah, look, absolutely. So my first job .au is the platform. And yeah, please reach out, businesses, if you've got entry level jobs. Doesn't matter if it's a 2 people business through to a publicly listed company. Everyone has entry level jobs. We're putting the mini micros out, so we're also looking for businesses to badge those. We've got a few spots left, but yeah, we're here to help. So contact at myfirstjob.au.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you
you.
so much for coming on. I really enjoyed our chat and appreciate your time.
No, love it. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, teams. Talk to you on the next episode 6. Next one.
Yes. Can you believe it?
Rolling along. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
See ya. Bye.